Hey, it's Mama C again. Today I'm going to teach you how to factor trinomials where the a is not equal to 1. And I'm also going to, again, show you pictures of Mr. C as he was growing up. And today talk to you a little bit about how I knew that he was going to be a math kid. So by the end of this video, you should be able to factor a trinomial when the a is not 1. Up until now, the coefficient of x squared has always been 1. But starting today, in our problems, the coefficient of x squared will be something other than 1. For example, in this problem, we have a coefficient of x squared as 6. And that makes it a little bit different. We're still going to use a factor x, and we're still going to bring down the 7. But because the x squared has a coefficient that's not 1, we're going to multiply the 6 and the 2 together. Some people call this slide and divide and bottoms up later on. We multiply that 6 times 12 and 6 times 2 and we get 12, and that 12 slides down the x to right here. And then we fill out our factor x like we did before. Two numbers that multiply to give 12 and add to give 7 are 3 and 4. Then we're going to, like we did before, write those as parentheses. But here's where things change. Because in the very beginning I had to multiply by that 6, now I have to divide these by 6. So this is why they call it slide and divide. Our 12 kind of slid down here, and now we have to divide by 6. When you're dividing, you need to look at the fractions there and see if they can be simplified. For example, that's going to simplify to 1/2. And this is going to simplify to 2/3. Now that we've done our sliding and dividing, we bring the bottoms up. So whatever on the bottom here is going to go up, so that our final answer is going to be 2x plus 1, because I brought that 2 up, and 3x plus 2, because I brought that 3 up. While I'm telling you this little story about Mr. Siski when he was little, I'll just throw these pictures up here. They really don't have anything to do with the story. I just think they're cute pictures. I think probably the first time that I realized that my little boy was going to be a math kid, he was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and he would sleep with all of the stuffed animals that he had. I mean, like lots, 20, 30 stuffed animals. He would put them all on his bed, get in bed. I would have to try to put the stuffed animals on top of him. And he slept with a clipboard beside his bed with a piece of paper on it. And every morning when he woke up, he would tally which stuffed animals fell off his bed. So he kind of kept data on which stuffed animals remained on his bed and which ones fell off his bed. And that's how he determined who was going to sleep with him the next night. So I said he was probably 5 or 6. He might have been 7. I think he was able to write words by then because he had a description. It was a chart, a legit chart, where he had all of the names of his stuffed animals or description of stuffed animals, and then whether or not they fell or not. Okay, back to high school or middle school math. All right, so this is another trinomial where the a is not 1. So you can see here the coefficient of x squared is 2. So you start off, like I said before, like you're going to make a factor x, and you bring the 11 down. But because this 2 is not a 1, we're going to multiply these together, and we slide it down here so that we have 24. So now we're trying to figure out the two numbers that multiply to give 24 and add to give 11. And those two numbers are 8 and 3. Then we're going to bring down the x plus 8 and the x plus 3. But we're not finished because in the beginning we multiplied by this 2. Now we have to divide by the 2. If it can be simplified, you simplify it. And 8 divided by 2 simplifies to 4. Now over here, 3/2 doesn't simplify, so I just bring the bottom up. So my final answer would be x plus 4 and 2x plus 3. And I didn't mention it before, but again, you can FOIL this to make sure that you do get 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Okay, this slide, I don't have a picture of Mr. C, but I have a note that he wrote me. Trying to think how old he was. I would say probably 7 or 8 here. It says, "Dear Mom, I love you more than a math problem like x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I love that I'm putting this in here now. First of all, I love that because I'm a math teacher. You can see here I am over here wearing that same formula on a shirt. This was me in my classroom. I love that he knew this formula as a little kid. I taught him a song when he was little before he even knew the names of nursery rhymes, and he was singing the song with this. But what I love about this also is that you're getting ready to learn this formula. So it's passed from me to Mr. Siskey, and now within a few, I would say probably days, you're going to be learning the quadratic formula. And you're going to learn that when you have trinomials that can't be factored, like you can't come up with 2 numbers that multiply to give the top and add to give the bottom, that there's another way to figure out those answers, and that's through this formula called the quadratic formula. So makes me pretty proud that I'm passing this legacy on, and it was passed to me from my 8th grade math teacher, Mrs. Hicks. She had a quadratic formula shirt. That's what made me have the idea of getting one, and then to Mr. Siskey, and then to you. I hope to come to see you all pretty soon. Mr. Siskey and I are trying to plan a day for me to come out. Until then, I'm heading to Florida, so you all have a great month.